So, we are going through the Uttara Tantra Shastra, or the text in short form called Buddha Nature. And out of the 7 Vajra points, we are going through the 3rd Vajra point, which is Sangha. So yesterday we went through the first stanza, kind of briefly kind of paying homage to the Sangha, and in that kind of explaining what Arya Sangha, or the enlightened Sangha, is, or the experience of an enlightened Sangha is, from the Mahayana point of view. We talked about these 2 qualities. One is the Rigpa and Tolva, the experience of seeing or understanding the nature, the true nature of oneself, and then the experience of being liberated from the attachment and obstacles or obscurations. That is basically, in the Sangha, from the Sangha point of view, Arya Sangha, then it is the first bhumi. From Mahayana point of view, when you are, when you reach the first bhumi, and then you are no longer in samsara. And when you are in the first bhumi, then you also not only become free from all kind of negative emotions, but also you have no more, you don't have any more suffering, and even the physical pain. So that's how it is understood. So therefore, when we actually talk about going refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, that Sangha is this Sangha, the enlightened Sangha. Not fully enlightened like Buddha, but enlightened enough that you fully experience and understand the nature of yourself. So therefore, as it is said here, 2 understandings or experiences, and then liberation. Now this is more kind of explicitly or more clearly explained in next stanzas. And the first is, what is this, what is this Rigpa? What is this understanding? Here it says, in the Tibetan, Chitta Jinyi Nangini Ehi Zikpa Topishir Luden Shirmudu Bichu, Lami Yaten Tonden Yit. So this is the stanza. So the translation in English here, I think this is a translation from Ken, no?
No, from some students of Kenpo Children Janzo.
Children Kenpo Children Janzo's student. Rosemary, yes, Rosemary, yeah. So here it says, the assembly of those who have understanding and thus do not fall back has unsuppressible qualities. Since their vision of inner primordial wisdom, which knows correctly and knows completely, is pure. Sometimes the translations become very, very complicated. That's why I always have difficulties to kind of go through the translations and teach from translations, because maybe it's because my English is not good, but I don't really understand anything. So I try to so this talks about these two qualities of the, Gendun, the Sangha, Sangha refuge. So it says let me maybe read the translation. No, the commentary. I hope the commentary. I have read it, but the commentary doesn't make it even not that. By the preceding section, the rare and sublime Sangha is shown as having two qualities. Focusing on the true state as their object, noble ones perceive the presence of suchness just as it is. They see this in a way that is not held in common with other beings by means of inner self-aware primordial wisdom. This vision is, I think, purified, is it? From the veil of attachment. For this reason, they have the quality of primordial wisdom that knows correctly. So this, Chitta Vanchemba and Jinye Panchemba, this is, we talk about this for the quality of the Buddha also. See as it is and see everything as it is. We talked about this yesterday also in brief, but what is saying here is that, as we always, talk about, in Buddhism, right view becomes very, very important. The main three trainings is, right view, or what do you call it? View, meditation, and conduct. The view becomes the most important thing, because if the view is not right, then you can't have actually also the right conduct, and difficult to have too deeper or too, too profound meditation also. Once you have the right view, then that will bring right conduct also, because then you know how to act, what is the best way to act with your body, speech and mind. So right view becomes very important. Now right view also, the right view is of course to do with how you see things, how you experience things. So it has to do with your mind. And so if we, we start the right view from, like cause and effect, like, if you do positive actions, you have positive result. If you do negative actions, you have negative results and things like that. Then we go forward and you try to understand interdependence. Interdependence is one of the, actually the main view or philosophy of Buddhism, that everything is interdependent. There's nothing which is totally, independent. Whether it is the universe, or it is an individual, or it is the tiniest of tiny, atom or subatomic level thing. Everything exists in an interdependent way, meaning that it's because of many causes, many conditions, very relatively, and so therefore that's why we talk about emptiness. Emptiness is because everything is interdependent and there's nothing which is totally independent and existing as one, indivisible kind of one. So when we understand this, then we have an intellectual understanding. But when we talk about the view here, we are not talking about intellectual understanding. We are talking about experiential understanding. Because, that kind of experiential understanding is something that you really, that can completely change our way of relating to things in the day-to-day life. Intellectually understanding is a concept. So we can say this is like this must be like this must be like this, but that not necessarily, transform our way of saying and way of being. So therefore, of course, as as beginners or as students, we need to, have intellectual understanding. But just in intellectual understanding is not enough. So therefore, we need to reflect and meditate. Meditation is therefore, that intellectual understanding you try to reflect on, and you try to let your mind become so deeply acquainted with that you start to experience, you start to react in that way. And when that happens, then you have a true view or true, right view. And so therefore, this is, what I was talking about. Citta Vanchenpa means experiencing things or understanding. Now, understanding here is a little bit more than intellectual understanding, as how things really are. I'm not sure whether this kind of what you can say, different ways of defining 2 or 6 or 8 and things like that wouldn't be too necessary or too important or not. There are a little bit different ways of describing that, this 2 qualities or 6 or 8 and things like that. I'm not sure whether it's really of much, it does make much difference or not. In the original kind of commentaries, they just define these 2 qualities of seeing the nature and then seeing it in everything. So Citta Vanchenpa and Jinhe Panchenpa. And then later on in Tibetan commentaries, they made it more kind of elaborate and made it into 6, and then the original Chapa and Topa, or this original Rigpa and Tolwa, this see understanding and liberation, that made it 8 qualities. But this, I think, doesn't make too much difference anyway. So the main thing is, when the thing is this, this that when you actually look or experience your awareness, your consciousness, yourself, your mind, because that's what what experiences everything. Without your consciousness, you cannot experience anything. So therefore, when you look at your consciousness, the consciousness is nothing but an awareness. And how that awareness is, or how this awareness exists, is something little bit beyond explanation. You say it exists also, it's very difficult to say, because, where does it exist? Is it one or many? You can't say it's one, you can't say it's many, because there's nothing you can hold on to. And how big it is, you can't say, because there's nothing there to measure. So therefore, its nature is kind of emptiness, but it's not something, it's not there. It's very much there, and from which every experience comes. Whether it's samsaric experiences, it's enlightened experiences, everything is there. So therefore, this is very, very precious, something very, very important. So therefore, but when you really experientially, have a understanding, you have a way of looking at it. It's just there, but not there. And everything you experience arises out of that, but that's also, you can't say it's truly there or not there. So when you have a real understanding or experience of that, then this kind of, this is me, or this is others, or this is good, or this is bad, or all these experiences becomes just you can say concepts. So therefore it arises but not truly there. So when one has that experience, then one understands very clearly that all these experiences of our negative emotions, sufferings, pain, all these things is also very illusory. And so therefore it doesn't doesn't exist as way we think it exists. And when that kind of experience happens, then you get freed from any kind of attachment and aversion. And so when that happens, then you become totally in peace. You become totally in peace because whatever arises doesn't disturb you, or doesn't become something that you need to get rid of, or something that you need to run after. And when that experience happens, then you find a true peace, true joy, that there's nothing more you need to do, actually. There's nothing to struggle for, nothing to strive for, nothing to get rid of. So this brings this seeing as like that, as I'm like that, but everything is like that. So so this kind of divided in two in explanation, but it's not really two things. I can't say I am like that. I can't say in a way, because what is I am? I am is also a concept, but that's like that. And then everything is also like that. So therefore it's completely, it's not only its true nature you experience, but also you have the experience of true nature completely. So that's why it's like everything. So when that experience happens, then you get freed from, you find the most extraordinary sense of freedom or liberation. Because at the moment when we think about something that is happiness, or that is sense of joy, or sense of good thing, we are only excited, like this is kind of good for me, or this is exciting, or this is nice, or something like that. And as long as we have that, then there is also not nice. So when I have something nice, then I have necessarily feeling that I will probably lose it, because I have the possibility of having not so nice. And when I have these two, there is nice and there is not nice, I cannot be totally satisfied, because there is always not nice. But when I see that this is not, the nice is not truly there, and not nice is therefore not there, so therefore there is complete, understanding of that, then it's not possible that you will lose this peace or the joy or the, so therefore you are truly and completely, liberated. So that experience, when you start to have, that's the point where you become liberated from samsara. Of course, there is still a lot more to, to get rid of. Not get rid of is not the right word. There's a lot more to refine and become, there are still certain kind of habitual tendencies and certain, habitual kind of behavior which is still, it's subtle but still there. And sometimes, as it said, subtle things are more difficult to get rid of. Like when you wash a cloth, when you just put some cloth in the washing machine or something like that and put some detergent, and then the majority of the dirt is gone easily. But then some little bit, like on your, collar or under your armpit or something like that, still remains. And for that, sometimes you have to, make more efforts to get rid of. So in the same way, so therefore there's sometimes a lot more to work on till you become fully enlightened. But when you have that, that level, then you don't go back. You've got freed from this samsaric state of mind. So therefore, that is the sangha. That is the enlightened sangha, you can call it if you like. That is the level of seeing stage. In the general Buddhist terms, you call it seeing stage, if you talk about the 5 stages. If you talk from the Mahayana point of view, it's the first bhumi onwards. The first bhumi to 10th bhumi. All this is kind of enlightened sangha. So therefore, that is this. And now here it's some subtle things here explained, but actually that's it, more or less. So this, there are the next kind of 4 stanzas. I try to explain it in as simply as possible, because it's a little bit difficult to explain from this English translation. So I'll read the English translation, and I think the French translation may be easier, so you can read the French translation. Realizing beings in their state of peace, though noble ones know correctly, for the mind is by nature utterly pure, and the poisons were always exhausted. And that is the, how the seeing the nature. Their understanding, which realizes the knowledge as well as its ultimate condition, sees that the state of omniscience is within all beings. Thus the noble ones know completely. That's like Jinye Panchamba. Such realization is the vision of wisdom that is self-aware. This wisdom is pure, since it sees the undefiled expanse, free from attachment and obstruction. Attachment, as you know, and obstruction is anything that will, that will become, that will prevent you from being liberated. Their vision of primordial wisdom is pure and nears unsuppressible Buddha wisdom. The noble ones who do not fall back are therefore a refuge for all beings. This talking about the Sangha. The Sangha, it's not enlightened, fully enlightened, but very near to the Buddha's full enlightenment. So therefore, they will not fall back, they will not go back, or they will not go back to the samsaric state. Therefore, this kind of enlightened Sangha or Sangha is regarded as the true refuge. So that's why these three refuges. And now there's some stanzas for why three refuges and what three refuges that we will talk about tomorrow. I will leave it here for today. So now you can ask questions on the subject of today and yesterday, but you can ask any questions, including what is the weather.
So we talked about samsara, getting out of samsara and of the emotions, attachments. So getting out of negative emotions, but could we not compromise a little bit and keep some emotions like the positive ones, like joy, happiness, and
Of course. It's not compromise. It's not about compromise. It's first, we try to little bit lessen our negative emotions and increase our positive emotions. Yeah. But then maybe slowly you might realize that I want to have positive emotions. I like to have joy. I like to have peace. I like to have kindness and compassion. I like everybody to be kind and compassionate. When you have that, it's okay for us. It's okay for us. But in a more ultimate way, then that itself also becomes a problem, because I want to have, positive means there is negative, yeah. So therefore, I don't like negative. I like positive. So when I have positive, I feel I'm very good. It's positive. I hope the negative will not come. And then, negative comes. And also that as long as I have a kind of feeling of there is something negative, then I'm not free, I'm a little bit kind of caught in that, yeah, because I have aversion and attachment, yeah. So therefore, in that state of mind, we cannot be totally free, we cannot be totally liberated. That's why we cannot be totally positive, because there's, we have a concept of or idea of negative, and we don't like negative. We have a fear of negative, and so therefore that is negative, no? So therefore, now here we are talking about a very, very high level, very, very high level. We are not talking about at our level in this. So at that level, then if we can actually have that experience, or if somebody can, that, we don't even, we know that, because that is, from the Buddhist point of view, that experience is possible. Yeah? Possible that we can even kind of transcend that wanting to have positive and wishing to have positive, and have no fear of negative. When that experience happens, that understanding happens, that there's nothing called negative, then it's only positive, yeah? And that positive is also not something that I like to have positive, but it's totally naturally positive. There's nothing but positive. So that's the, when we talk about liberation and, complete enlightenment, we are talking at that level, so this is something which is difficult to understand for most of us, because we cannot imagine that there is, attachment. Yes, why not attachment? That's something good, then why not attached? We like to have joy, we like to have positive, we like to have, good time, nice time, excitement. But if you look more subtly and more deeply, those are also actually causing problem. Yeah? So this is, the idea, understanding. But that doesn't mean that we cannot feel positive, or we cannot feel joy, or we cannot feel, or we should not. Of course we should. That's why, we talk about 3 levels. In Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism is 3 levels. One is called the worldly level. I want to have positive life. I want to have happy life. I want to have joyful life, well-being, physical, mental, emotional, in this life and the next lives, things like that. So there is practice for that. There is practice and lots of instructions how to do that. That's the first level. Very good, very important. The most important, because that's that everybody wants. But even if you have that, you understand that you will come to experience that it's not totally, it doesn't give you the complete satisfaction or complete peace or complete joy, because there's always something like, as I said, then I want to be. That's the second, that's the liberation. Transcendent, but my own liberation. then there is lots of practice for that, lots of instructions for that. Now that's very good, but then there's another state that, okay, I'm liberated and I'm okay and I have no problem. But what about everybody else? Because they're still suffering, there's still problem, there's still samsaric. So then I not only myself, but I need to kind of help every being. And that's the third stage, So these 3 levels of practices are there, and of course you do the same thing in a way, but your motivation and your kind of things could be these 3. And the first level is something that is very secular, actually very secular, very just, improve our life, And that's very much Buddhist practice also. But that's not enough, that's not alone. So therefore just peace of mind or just having some, a positive feeling, that's very, very important, and it's most important, but if you want to really totally kind of transcend, then other things. That's why these kind of texts are regarded as much more advanced and profound.
There is someone from Zoom, maybe, or one question.
Okay.
So it's Karim.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, Rimpotché, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, because the sound is not very good at my end. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yes, I can hear.
Okay, I would like to ask you a question.
Okay.
If we think about the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, when you say seeing things as they are, can you elaborate a bit on that? What do you mean then, seeing things as they are? How should we look at this conflict?
When we are saying how the things they are, is we are not talking about those kind of things.
Okay.
We are talking about an ultimate level, but yeah, that's another matter. And this is a very kind of, this is talking about, relative level. Yeah, there is war, which is a problem, as you know. So there is no 2 opinions about that.
Sorry.
We should not be taking sides. We should not be liking one party more than the other one.
That depends on what you think is the best. I mean, we want to stop the war. I think that's the most important, no? Yeah, I think that's the most important thing. We want to stop the war, because if the war continues, whether you are on this side or that side, doesn't matter. It will cause lots of suffering and lots of problems, as I see it.
Yes, of course.
So therefore, if there is anything we can do to stop the war, and if possible stop the war forever, that should be our effort.
Okay, thank you very much. Tashi Dele.
Tashi Delek, thank you. Yes, Dirk?
There we go.
Yes.
Sorry, can you hear me, Richard?
Yes, it's very clear.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. I have a very simple question. So if one's achieved the first bhumi, does one not experience attachment or aversion?
Yes.
Because attachment and aversion makes things very solid. So is that a way at that stage does one not achieve attachment and aversion? No, does not experience attachment and aversion towards one's environment. Can you hear me?
The last word I couldn't hear. Huh?
No, I was just sort of saying that attachment and aversion is the thing that makes things solid. And so if one's on the first bhumi, does one not experience attachment and aversion to one's environment?
Environment.
Yeah, to one's surroundings, to one's experience has there's no attachment and aversion to whatever is happening.
Yeah, true. Aversion and attachment, not. Yeah, not.
Thank you.
But that doesn't mean that, you don't know what is
good and
what is good and what is not good.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think we stop here today. Sunamdi tamche sepanye tone nyepe tanam Shiva nanji alam chupa Sibin solen prava dova ishu. Thank you very much.